Please be advised that I am not a gun expert, lawyer, or professional trainer. The content and topics discussed here are based on my own personal experiences. Please take them for what they're worth, but also do your own research so that you can make the best decisions for yourself accordingly. Today is all about pistol frames. The pros, the cons, the sizes, all of that covered right now. What's up, y'all, and welcome to The Journey. Today I'd like to talk about a subject that's confusing to a lot of people and confused the hell out of me for a while as well. And that's pistol frames. And for the most part, when it comes to pistol frames, that's going to really vary depending on your carry style and what the usage is going to be. So today, I like to cover the basics on the different types of pistol frames and to give you the pros and cons to each kind of frame. So to help me, I've brought this right here. This is a Polymer 80 lower. Now, this is for my particular build that I'm working on. This is a Glock 19 type of frame. So as you can see, there is no barrel, there is no slide, there's no magazine, so it's pretty much just a lower. So the preface of this particular frame is to help with our lessons today. So when we look at a pistol frame, a lot of people will look at the slide, which is the upper part that slides back and forth, and think of that as the determination of what the size of the gun is. And quite frankly, that's what I used to think as well. But unfortunately, I was wrong, and a lot of those people are wrong as well. When it comes to a gun size and determining whether you're a full size or a compact or a subcompact or a micro, it comes down to this is your frame. And that's what's going to determine the size, because ultimately it comes back to a matter of concealability, and that's pretty much what we're going to be looking at. So when it comes to a frame, that's going to be our determination. And for the most part, I like to use this as the primary basis to go base off of, since it's pretty much, once again, very blanket, straightforward. And for the most part, this should help give you an idea and hopefully some clarity as far as what the difference is between a full size, a compact, versus a subcompact versus a micro. So as I said earlier, this is based off of a Glock 19, and for discretion, this is also a licensed, serialized lower. So this is actually the part that's recognized as the firearm by the ATF. This is serialized, so anyone out there who's curious about ghost guns, that's been the big hoopla. This is not a ghost gun because it is serialized, and I did file this with the ATF as a pistol, so this is a legal firearm. It's just not complete. Now, this is based off of the Glock 19, and for the most part, the Glock 19 is the standard when it comes to pistols that fit the criteria of what we call a compact. Now, the compact frame is basically what you'll find for a lot of your firearms that people will carry on their person on a daily basis, and some will also use for home protection. Now, the reason why the Glock 19 is so popular is because it fits that size that you can do it's like the best of both worlds in a sense. It's small enough that it can be carried on your person as a concealed carry firearm, but at the same time, it's large enough where that you can also utilize this for home defense. It's kind of that almost like a renaissance in the sense where it could do everything. It's not exceptional at any particular aspect, but it handles every aspect equally very well. So this could be used for concealed carry, it could be used for home defense, it can even be used for competition or for hunting. It's just the size is just versatile across the board in that regard. So a lot of times when a person buys a first firearm, or when they get suggestions, they're going to hear about the Glock 19. So the Glock 19 is pretty much the standard. So that's what we're looking at here as far as this frame. Now, you've seen this particular firearm before, which is my Walther PDP. And just for clarity, we are not loaded. There's no rounds in the magazine. We are also emptying here as well. So this is my Walther PDP. Now, this PDP is a full size. And what you'll find is, in comparison to the frame of a 19, you'll notice that the grip is longer. And that's pretty much the determining factor for what makes this a full size, is a longer, fuller grip. And if you notice where my fingers are, it pretty much there's still room on there before I even hit to where the magazine is. Full size is typically what you'll find most of your law enforcement using, as well as some military, or people who have really monster hands. I don't fit that category for monster hands, but for pretty much for a home defense, I like the full size option, as well as the feel and dexterity of the firearm altogether. But I would have been perfectly fine with a compact as well. So we bring it back to here. Now, if you notice on this one, compared to when I was holding the Walther, this is where my magazine will go right here. But you notice right before where we get to the magazine, my fingers are pretty much right at the bottom. So for the most part, this fills my hand a lot easier without anything protruding. And not to say that having a full size is bad in that regard, because the more hand room you have to be able to hold on there, the more control you have of your firearm. But just to give you for comparison's sake. Now, that was the full size. This is your compact. I do not have a subcompact available, but typically the subcompact will be slightly shorter. So we'll probably say like to about right into this area is where you might find the cutoff for where the subcompact will be. The subcompact, the advantage of that is that basically it's for concealed carry purposes. It's not typically what someone would use for home defense or for hunting or anything in that regard. That's not what its specialty is. It's primarily geared towards concealed carry. And the reason for that is because the shorter the frame of the grip, the shorter the grip, I should say, not the frame, the grip. The shorter that is, the easier it is to conceal, because when you're wearing a firearm, you want to have as little of this as possible. The slide, the length of the slide is irrelevant because no one sees the length of the slide. So, for instance, we'll take a look back to this PDP. This is a 4.5 inch barrel, and the slide's about the same. I know people who will carry this with no problem. I know people who will carry slides that are longer. But at the end of the day, no one is seeing any of this section. They're only looking for this part. Because at the end of the day, this area here, your grip is basically what stands out when you wear it under your shirt, and what will call to people to say, that's a firearm. They're not going to see the slide, they're going to see the grip, and that's what's the calling sign for what determines if a person can recognize that you have a firearm on you or not, if you start printing through your shirt or through your pants or whatever. So, well, not really through your pants, I'm sorry. Unless you're putting it all the way in your pants, which is very unlikely, you're not going to see it there. So, once again, that's what the primary purpose of the subcompact is. So the grip is what's going to be visible from a person from outside, and the shorter the grip, the easier it is to conceal, because that means there's less room for it to be recognizable. So the subcompact is basically for that particular premise. Now we come to the micro pistol. So for the micro pistol, we have here a Shield, a Smith & Wesson Shield M&P Shield. I'm sorry, plus. And for discretion, there's no rounds in this chamber, no rounds in the magazine, so we are clear. Now, the one thing about the micros that's very different about the micros as opposed to the regular full size compact and the subcompact is not about the frame. It's about the thickness of the gun itself. So you'll notice this frame is very similar to the compact. Very similar in length. So you might think that, okay, so if it's similar in length to the compact or even the subcompact, why is this considered a micro and not a subcompact or a compact? And that's easy. The thinness of this firearm is what makes it a micro. Now, when I refer to the thinness, I'm referring to how thick it is from the side, if you look at it from the top perspective. And if you look at how my shield, my polymer 80 is, you'll notice that I can almost fit this polymer 80 over my Shield Plus, because the micro is thinner. Now, the reason why these are called micros in that regard is because, well, particularly overall they're smaller as far as the width is concerned. And the plus to that is that it's easier to conceal even more. It's only a few centimeters, or not even centimeters, a few millimeters actually. But millimeters count, because if I was to put this under a shirt And as I put another firearm that was a little bit thicker under my shirt, this is going to be a lot less easier for you to see than the other one because there's a lot less room pressing out against your body. Now, in addition, these are based off of older firearms that we used to see back in the day, like me. And I'm really dating myself saying back in the day, like that's not like 2-3 years ago. Micro pistols are basically unique in the sense that they're using what we call a single stack, but they've managed to fit double stack capacity into a single stack firearm form. So if you're familiar with Smith & Wesson and the shield, you'll know that the old shields, they had a capacity of 8 rounds. This holds 12. Actually, no, I'm wrong. 13. So 13 rounds in the same size of a firearm that holds 8. So that's where the new technology has brought us. And by being able to fit all those extra rounds into the same size, we've basically gone into new uncharted territory in this world. So to be a firearm owner today is pretty good. Now, the big plus on this is that, once again, it's thinner, so it conceals a lot better. The downside to this is because it's thinner, your hands, depending on your hand size, may fit around these firearms a lot more differently than for a person who's holding a regular pistol because it's thinner. So your hands will wrap around more, meaning that you have less room to fill in for proper control. Also, because you have less control, because you have less hand room on here, it may feel snappier because you have less control to handle the recoil. So that is the negative to this. But it's really up to you and how you're going to be utilizing this firearm that's going to determine whether it's right for you or not. But for the most part, a micro pistol is typically geared towards concealed carry purposes only. Some people may find that they can utilize this for home protection. I'm not one of those people, but you will find a number of firearms that fit into this category, such as this, your SIG P365, your Springfield Hellcat, your Glock 43, 43X, 48. Those kind of firearms will fit into the category because of how thin they are compared to their other counterparts. So just to recap everything. So once again, Polymer 80 based off of the Glock 19 format. Most of your carriers are going to basically call out that it's a compact for the size. Some guns like the Walther PDP, for instance, will say actually on the side. So if you look here in particular on the Walther PDP, it'll actually tell you full size versus compact. But the Glock 19, your Smith & Wesson MMP, your SIG P320, your HK VP9, your CZ P10C. CZ calls us out particularly based off of that. These firearms will be geared as compact because of how the frame is and because of how the grip length is. If you go longer for a full size frame, then you'd be looking at something like this PDP, which is the full size, a CZ P10F, a P320 from Sig Sauer full size, a Glock 17, or even a Glock 45. Those will be your full size because the length is longer. And then if you want to go for your subcompact, you'll be looking at something like a Glock 23, a Glock 26, a CZ P10S, VP9 SC. I believe they also have a P320 subcompact. I'm not 100% on that, but you'll find that the grip is shorter. So once again, do not look at the slide length and automatically assume that's what's going to determine the length. The size of your firearm. It's not the slide. It's the frame and the grip length itself. That's what's going to determine if you have a subcompact, a compact, a full size, or a micro. I hope this information has been very enlightening and gives you more perspective and clears up any questions that you may have regarding firearms. Also, I hope this may answer any questions you may have as far as what you want to look for when it comes to buying your firearm, whatever it is, and for whatever purpose and intention it is. I would hate for you to buy a full-size firearm expecting to conceal carry and then be disappointed. Not to say it can't be done, because any firearm can be concealed, but the full size is just going to be much more difficult than a compact or a subcompact or a micro. And I would hate for you to buy a micro expecting for it to be able to perform and do the same duties as a compact or a full size. That's just not a relative or a good thing to be expecting. So I don't want you to have these kind of false impressions or expectations for your firearm, and you go out and get disappointed when you make your purchase. So once again, hopefully I've helped to provide you some information. Hopefully this clears up any kind of confusion you had in the past. I know I certainly had a lot of confusion when I was younger as a gun enthusiast, and thankfully I've learned a lot over the past few months, and I would say this maybe my second year now as a gun owner, and I've learned a lot since then. So hopefully my experience and my shortcomings when I first became a gun owner to now will help you avoid having those same issues when it comes to making your purchase or having knowledge and information on the particular firearm that you're looking at. So if you like what you saw, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Feel free to leave any comments that you may have, any suggestions you may have as well. Thank you for watching, and enjoy the journey.